Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, hi, how are ya? Not trying to be like Jeffree Star. Anyway, for today's video, I wanted to do kind of like a story time. I've seen a lot of people on YouTube recently making videos about their work experience. The ones that I've watched have to do with like them working in a certain retail store. Like, for example, I've watched Target, Victoria's Secret, Pink, Bath and Body Works, Lush, so on and so forth. But the main reason I wanted to make this type of video, normally I'm kind of hesitant to talk about my personal life, especially when it comes to my job experiences and so forth. I was kind of hesitant to do this video because I didn't want it to make me look bad or reflect badly on me, but since it was so long ago, it's going to be almost 3 years since I started my first job. Since it's been that long, I feel like I'm open to sharing my experience and I'm okay with talking about my time there. So, also, two disclaimers actually. The first one, I'm going to be providing aliases for the people that I talk about in this video, at least for most of them, because I don't want to put their situation and what they did. I don't want to put them out there, without the permission, of course. So I'm just doing it for safety and identity reasons that I'm making these aliases. So just keep that in mind. Also, in this video, I'm not trying to bash the company that I worked for or any of the people that I worked with. I'm just simply talking about my experience working for this company, how it has helped me in my life and how it has helped me grow and what I've learned from my time there. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so my very first job, I'm sure some of you might be surprised when I talk about this, but my very first job was at this clothing store. It's a women's clothing store called Maurices. Now, I'm sure 90% of you who watch my channel or who are watching this are like, what's Maurices? I have no idea what you're talking about. So Maurices is obviously a women's clothing store. They kind of have like a small town feel. They are based in a small town of Duluth, Minnesota, and they have locations across the U.S., and I know there's a few stores in the Valley, so they're slowly growing, but it's not as well known as like Forever 21, Target, Nordstrom, so on and so forth. But I don't know. I don't really know how else to describe it, but their main focus is to make sure that whoever comes in the store as or customers or whatever, they want to make sure that they feel the absolute best leaving there, and they really try to make you feel special. It's like so different, the experience, the experience at Maurice's, because I've been on both sides of being a customer and an employee there. Being on both sides, I know that as a customer, you really feel like you are like this, you get the special treatment. So that's basically their goal. And they always try to keep up with the latest trends and styles. And as far as I can remember, they have, tank tops, camis, t-shirts, blouses, dress, like work attire, like dress pants. We had boots, sandals, booties, and like kids tennis shoes, kind of like that style. We also had jeggings, jeans, sweaters, I don't know if we had hoodies, but we did have bralettes, and we also had activewear, which I didn't have at my store, and they also had pajamas, which we didn't have at my store either. And they also just released makeup, so that's interesting. I've never tried it, so I can't really say for sure if it's great or not. But anyway, we have a variety of products at Maurice's, and so when I first heard about Maurice's, I did not think that I was going to end up working there, like, in the future. Because what happened was I was out with my grandma one day. We were running errands, and we saw the Maurice's sign in the shopping center that we were in. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I wonder what's in there. So my grandma and I, we went in there, and of course the employees were so friendly and so assisting of me and my grandma, making sure that we found, I don't know, like, that we were finding everything, of course. And I had a fitting room set up. So I was just looking around, just seeing what was in there. And I was really attracted to a lot of the bohemian style clothes they had there. So I found this like orange and white printed dress. It was like a maxi dress. And I tried it on with this denim jacket, actually. I tried both of them on together, and the lady who helped me, I think her name was Jennifer, she was like so sweet to me and just so, I don't know, she was always checking in on me and making sure everything was okay, if I liked everything. And so then, like, once I came on with the dress and the jacket on, and she was like, oh my gosh, you could totally be a model for a store. And it made me feel so good to hear her say that, because I never thought in my life that I could ever get to that point. I mean, I love fashion, and I know how to put certain things together, and I know what looks good on me. So I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that. So next thing you know, my grandma and I were checking out at Maurice's, and the store manager, who I'll call Fran happened to be there that day. And I don't know if she rang me up, but she noticed me right away, and just my appearance and everything. She's like, oh my gosh, I can't remember if she said if I was cute or whatever, but she was just like she really liked me, and she really gravitated towards me, and she said, oh, we would love to have you on our team. I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? Because, like, I didn't really understand at the time, like, what she was talking about. I didn't think that, I would ever end up working there. And so I didn't even think that working in fashion was a possibility until that moment. And it was like, oh my God, it's so cool. So, with that being said, so she just gave me the information. Fran gave me the information to go apply. So I applied right away. And it took like a month or so, because they had a lot going on at the time. But I ended up getting a call back to schedule my interview. And I did that. And I had my interview over spring break, because I was in high school at the time. I was a junior. So I'd had my interview over spring break. The interview process wasn't really that bad. Of course, it was like my second job interview, so I was kind of nervous. But in my interview, I was wearing this like navy blue floral printed dress, some sunglasses, my hair was straight, and I had these nude wedged heels. And I thought I looked really good, and, it was very professional for the interview, and especially because it was Maurice's. I remember, oh gosh, okay, so the assistant manager, her name was Rosa, but I'm trying to think, I don't really know if I should give her an alias, because I don't know. Her name was Rosa. She no longer works there, but she did my interview. She was just asking me questions about, tell me about a time where you showed, I can't remember the questions exactly, but she's just like, it started out with like, tell me about a time where you showed leadership, just basically just asking me, just more like self-reflective questions. Of course, I can't remember all of them, but it took me a minute to answer all of them. But I was so nervous. I was like really nervous that I wasn't going to get the job. But So then I had my interview, and I felt like that went really well. It was about a month later, and Fran had called me, and she had said that, you know, it went well, that they want to have, I guess, you're part of the team or something like that. And she was like, oh, you could start next week. But I actually didn't end up starting until probably like mid-May. May 10th was when I started at Maurices. I think it was the same reason, like they had so much going on with other interviews. I'm assuming that's why it took me longer to start. But, okay, so I have a list, obviously, that I'm going to be referring to that helps me remember, like, what I'm talking about. So just keep that in mind. So my first day of work was pretty well. I mean, not pretty well. It went pretty well. I wore, I think, because I had went in before and picked out my outfit for my first day. So I ended up wearing this, like, tan, like, nudish color kimono, a navy blue top, I think a pair of their jeggings and sandals, and, you know, I obviously had no idea what to expect, and I didn't know, like, what was going on half the time, but it was cool because I think my first night there, Fran let me leave early for work, because I think I was scheduled for 6:15 to 9:15, and she let me go around like 8:30, but I still had to wait. But my first day, I worked with Odette. That's the alias I have for her, because I don't think she works there anymore. But I still giving her an alias. So, Odette was one of the sales associates who I worked with. My position was, temporary sales associate, because I was working 1 day a week and that sort of thing, and I was part-time, of course. So Odette was working with me on the sales floor. I did not expect to be on the sales floor so soon, but it was all right, because I really appreciated having Odette with me and her going through, you know, what the zones were and what they were like, and just kind of introducing me to everything. And at work, we would wear these headsets, and we use those to talk to other people who, you know, to talk to Fran or the other associates who were on the sales floor. So, it was kind of interesting trying to get used to the headset. And I think my first day, I was a little bit, obviously when I first started working at Maurices, I was very shy, and it took me a minute to come out of that, because there was a couple points I think Odette had pointed out that I should be talking to the customers more instead of standing around. So I took that piece of feedback, and I basically tried to improve during my time there. So that was pretty much my first day. I felt like it went well. So the customer base in the store, we had, our customer base was mostly women, obviously, since it's women's clothing. But we did have some people who came in, you know, like older people came in, like older ladies. We had husbands who came in because their wives were shopping and they were trying to kill time. And we also had, you know, little kids, because sometimes our customers who come in, they were moms, so understandably they would have their kids with them. So, one thing I noticed, I think Fran told me this the first day my first day of work, because she was showing me different training videos on her iPad, and I was watching them, and one of the things I noticed right away was the fact that Maurices calls their customers lives, and I was like, what? I don't understand that. And I asked Fran, why do they call them lives? And she said, I think she said something along the lines of, like, live can be anybody. and it's not like, I really can't remember like exactly what she said, but I feel like to me that doesn't really make sense if you're like labeling a customer as a certain person. You know, customers can be anyone, not just like women, you know? So I thought that was kind of weird personally. Maurice's focuses a lot on customer service, and you know, they really want to make sure that every person who comes in has the best experience as far as like, you know, just finding stuff, you know. So a lot of people will come in at Maurice's and they're looking for a certain outfit, not for a certain outfit, but they have an event to go to and they need an outfit for that certain occasion. And it's up to us, the associates, to find stuff that will work for her, being the live, and excuse me. So we had to find stuff that will work for her, and of course having the size and everything, and knowing what that person might like. We had to create outfits for them, and also when usually when we have customers come in, we try to get them into fitting rooms. So most of the time I was greeting customers, just like asking them how they were, and of course if they had anything going on that they needed to come in for, you know, that sort of thing. So when I was at work, I was often building outfits, setting up fitting rooms, and as far as setting up fitting rooms, we would have to be like, oh, do you want me to set up a fitting room for you? And it was like SpongeBob, you want to set up a fitting room for you? I'm sorry, I just couldn't help myself. So we had to set up a fitting room for every live who came in. And, of course, we checked on them and all of that. But we had to set up fitting rooms for every live that came in as a way for the store to prevent theft. And because, of course, if they have, like, stuff, they're holding on to stuff in the... If a live is holding on to, like, certain clothing, that's when usually we would do that. So... besides that, I would unload freight from the back, and I would put clothes on hangers, size all of them, and then since I closed most of the time at work, my shifts obviously would be for closing would be around 6:15 to 9:15, and I worked with another person. So anyway, when I was closing, there was a lot of emphasis being put on recovery and making sure the store looked nice and presentable for the next day. And to be honest, it took me a while to get the hang of recovery. Like, I was watching other people and how they did it, and I was trying to follow what they were doing. But I feel like for me, I'm very detail oriented, so I feel like some of my coworkers were annoyed that I took longer to recover because I wanted everything to be like nicely folded, and there's a lot of emphasis that goes into that. And of course, there's also like cleaning up the store. We had to dust the shelving. They call it chroming for whatever reason. And then we had to vacuum. I had to vacuum. I had to get all the hangers put away. It was a lot. And of course, setting up fitting rooms. And then we also, while I was at Maurice's, we had a lot of store meetings, and that was their way of team building. To be honest, the store meetings were not my favorite. Not because I was shy or anything, but I just felt like the team building activities that Fran would have us do were kind of like, I didn't really understand how they helped us become closer as a team. And yeah, so that's that's one of the things I didn't like. As far as my coworkers are concerned, I really liked my original coworkers who I met when I started working there. I would have to say my favorite coworkers, who are actually the original ones, my favorite ones are actually two of my original coworkers. Their names are Miranda and Beth. Miranda is super sweet. She was so helpful for me when I was working with her, and I honestly, she just had such a great mood, and you know, she was super funny and goofy and just like really made working so much fun, especially with her. She just put a smile on my face, and there was one time where she had me go on the ladder and dust the chandeliers that were up above the fitting room, and I was trying to do it the way she showed me, and then I realized that one of the I don't know if it was like one of the actual crystals, but one of the pieces of the chandelier fell off, and I was so embarrassed, but Miranda and I just laughed it off because she was like, "Oh my gosh," but she was one of my favorites, Miranda was, but she ended up going to, I think she ended up going to Florida for the Disney college program thing, and she seems really happy there. Anyway, my other favorite coworker, who was one of the original ones, was Beth. Beth's an older lady, who I worked with. I think she had the same kind of availability as I did. She came in like once or twice a week. Usually she was there when I was there, if no one else was. But she was super nice to me. I really enjoyed working with Beth because it seemed like she really cared about me, and she really took the time to get to know me better, and you know, I felt like a special bond with her. I think it might have been because she's older than me, and I really enjoy spending time with people who are older than me, and I gravitate towards them. And in a way, she kind of reminded me of my grandma, and just how like she would talk. Not like how she would talk, but just you know, just how sweet she was, and just so outgoing. So I really miss working with her, and I know that she's doing well. So with that being said, I liked most of my original coworkers, and I kind of had like a moment where I was, I kind of lost track for a second. So most of my original coworkers left around September. So a few months after I started working there, most of my original coworkers left, and I was pretty devastated by that because, I don't know, it just made the dynamic and the vibe at work just so different from when I first got there. And the new people who came in, I feel like they completely changed the dynamic. And it almost felt like at times being at work felt like it was like a cliquish vibe. And I didn't really feel comfortable with that. And then there's a couple people who I didn't like working with. I think there was just one that I just did not like working with at all. But, you know, everyone else was, like, okay. But, anyway, that's kind of the main reason. Since all of my original coworkers left, and I didn't have really anyone else I knew at work, besides Fran and Beth, I think. But she was rarely there. But anyway, because of that, it kind of made me start to feel unhappy with my job. I also didn't realize how much effort and time it takes to really do well at that kind of job. So, So with that being said, as far as like the dress code is concerned, we basically had to wear mostly Maurice's clothing. I mean, you could wear a couple pieces that weren't from Maurice's, but it had to, it definitely needed to look fashionable and in style. And we did have a discount as associates. We did have a discount. It was 40%. Personally, I liked the fact that I had a discount, but I really wish it would have been more than 40%. Mostly because when you shop at Maurice's, you'll notice right away that the majority of their clothes and even their accessories, the majority of their products are very expensive. And personally, I think, with the price, I feel like they're over, I think just, I don't know, I feel like they're overcharging people for what they have. And I understand they have good quality clothes, but, I could find the I could find the similar outfits to Maurice's at better prices. That's personally my opinion. Another thing I really did not like about working for Maurice's was that because we had to keep up with the trends and all of that, I didn't really have very many outfits from Maurice's, so I basically had to, I basically rewore a lot of the same stuff that I had from before, and I felt like just so out of it, and I just felt like I didn't really fit in with everyone else at Maurice's, not just because of like my lack of clothing, but I was the youngest out of everyone who was working there. So I feel like that kind of set me apart, and I felt like I didn't really belong. Also, I didn't have as much experience as everyone else who was working there. So I kind of felt like at times, since I was only there like one day a week and all of that, I just felt like I was kind of embarrassing myself when I would talk to other customers, or if I wasn't, I felt like I was embarrassing myself because I had like this lack of knowledge that everyone else had. But also, I just felt like I was bringing my team down, and after a while, I didn't feel like that was the best fit for me. So, with that being said, another thing that I absolutely hated about Maurice's was because the fact that we had to stay on trend and everything. We had to wear boots, like I'm not kidding, actual boots to work from September to March, almost 6 months. We had to wear them every day to work, and for me it wasn't like too bad because I was just working 3 hours, but even after 3 hours of work, my feet were killing me after I got off work. I was just so uncomfortable. They were just so uncomfortable. The ones that Maurice's had, they were just so uncomfortable to walk around in long periods of time. I was just like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm not going to be doing this. This is so ridiculous. So I really didn't like that. Another thing that I didn't like is that they have kind of like a non-disclosure thing. Cause there was one time at work when I had a Liv come in, and she was asking me, she was asking me if we were hiring or whatever, and then she asked me how much we would get paid, and I told her it was $10 an hour, which was minimum wage at the time. And I think because one of these new assistant managers, let's just call her Maddie. Maddie noticed right away, and I think because I told her about it, and she said, "Oh, we're not supposed to disclose that information." I was just like, okay, well, I don't really understand why not, because, it's a prospective candidate for a company, and they want to find out how much you're going to be making, I feel like they should have every right to know the answer to that, because if they're looking for other jobs similar to what Maurices can provide, if they're looking for other jobs, they want to know what's going to be the best deal and what they're going to benefit the most from, especially if it comes to getting paid. So I really didn't like the non-disclosure thing, because I felt like, our employees were hiding stuff from people. And, that's kind of shady to me. But that's just my personal opinion. Okay, so let's see. What made me really dissatisfied with my job? I feel like it kind of grew over time. It started when all of my coworkers who I originally worked with, when all of them left and I had to deal with new coworkers. I had, the fact that I had to get to know new people and all of that, and just the way that my new coworkers talked to me, they just made me feel like the training that I received at my first few weeks at Maurices, it made me feel like my training, it made me feel like shit about myself, because they made me feel like the people who trained me, my first few weeks were not that great. And they were telling me all of this new information that I was not aware of before. And I was just like, okay, well, that's not what I was told. So anyway, so let me just get into one of the people who just made me not happy with my job. This is probably like the worst, not the worst, but I would say the coworker that I really disliked the most. Let's just call her Cece, because I don't need to be airing out her personal business. So Cece was this like tall, skinny brunette. She acted like she knew everything about the job, and she was one of the assistant managers. And Cece and I were clothing together one night, and she was giving me a hard time about how slow I was at recovery. And I was telling her, I was doing the best that I could, and she's like, oh, well, after a song, and you should be going on to the new zone. But she doesn't understand that you have to make sure that everything looks as close to detail as possible. And I don't think she really understood how much I paid attention to detail. And so she gave me such a hard time about my recovery, that I literally almost snapped at her, and I just went to the back, and I was just like, I need to take a break, because she was about to piss me off. Like, it would have ended really badly if I didn't go in the back. But then I came back out, and I talked to her, and I apologized. And then she's like, do you have anxiety? I was like, first of all, it's like, bitch, that's none of your business. If you really cared about me and my life, and especially in knowing that if I had anxiety, you'd actually you should actually stay in your own lane, because I'm not here to talk to you about my personal life while I'm working. So, the fact that she even assumed that I had anxiety was just completely rude. And, I mean, of course, I did have anxiety at that point. I did have anxiety before, so it might have been that, but maybe she picked up on something else. I don't really know, but it was just completely an invasion of privacy for her to ask me that. Some people might not think so, but to me it was. So, that pretty much bothered me. And besides all of that, I felt like, over time, besides dealing with people I didn't like at work, I just realized the longer I was at Maurices, the more I realized that I didn't really think, fashion retail was something that I could see myself doing for a long time. And because of, how I felt out of place there, and just I was the youngest out of everybody and the person who knew the least about the job, I just felt like it wasn't really the best fit for me after a while. And, I just felt kind of like helpless for a long time because I didn't really talk to anybody about how I was feeling about my job, because I was afraid if I talked to anybody about it, especially if it was, family member or coworker, what have you, I was afraid that I would get a response that I didn't really want to hear. My dad, whenever I would talk to my dad about work there, he would always tell me to try to get more hours there, but I really didn't think that was the answer. And then if I was going to talk, like, I talked to my grandma about it before, about my job. Like, I felt like she would have wanted me to stick it out. So I just felt like I couldn't really go to anybody about how I was feeling about my job. And because I had all those feelings bottled up, I really didn't know how to deal with that. And really no one taught me the proper etiquette for work, like what you should do and what you shouldn't do on the job. So I feel like I could have benefited more if someone had talked to me about this stuff beforehand. So because of the fact that I was stuck and unhappy with my job, I still felt like I had to stick it out because, I didn't really know what my next move was at the time. And, but I just did not like being there. I just did not enjoy being at work. So I just felt miserable there. So that eventually led to one day I got a call from, I think it was it Odette? Yeah, because she had called, I think it was like 11 in the morning one day, and she had called me and asked if I could, like, I don't know if she asked if I came in, but she said, like, I don't know, I think I was late or something. I was supposed to be there early and I wasn't. I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know. But I don't think I ended up going to work that day. And then another time, it was probably like after 6, and Maddie had called me and she said, I don't know if she left me a voicemail or what, but, I just, like, when I heard it, I just felt so bad because, I didn't want to show up to work late, and I didn't really know. At the time, I felt like I didn't really know what would be worse for me. I didn't know if, like, not showing up, I felt like being late to work would be worse than me not showing up to work at all. So I'm not really, like, embarrassed to admit it. I mean, I would have been, like, a few months ago, but, so I have to admit that after that, I really just had no motivation to get ready for work and to be there. So it got to the point where I ended up missing work on purpose. And I know that a lot of my coworkers were just really annoyed by that. And and I didn't realize, like, that I was being inconvenient to everyone else. So a couple weeks pass. I would say this is about March. So, like, I don't know. I would say, like, a couple months before I left. So I was at work, and I think we were in a break between customers, and I was working with Maddie that day, and she asked me if she could talk to me in private. So she and I went to the back room, and she was talking to me because we sat at Fran's desk. So she had talked to me, and she said something along the lines of, okay, so I wanted to talk to you about your attendance. She was just basically going on and on, telling me, we really want someone to be there when they say they will be. And as soon as she said that, that's when I knew immediately that I had to open up and tell the truth. So I had told Maddie about how unhappy I was in my job, and I just felt like Maurice's wasn't the best fit for me. And she was so understanding and just so supportive. And she said, you know, I was really honestly surprised by her reaction, and she even gave me the option to put in my 2 weeks right then and there. Actually, I don't think it was March. It was probably April that I had that. Anyway, she gave me that opportunity, and I took it. Well, no, I didn't, actually. She gave me that opportunity, and then I told her that I wanted to talk to Fran first. And so I did. And the day that I talked to Fran, I had just come back from a job interview that I had for Sprouts, since my mom's cousin was working there, and I was able to get a job at Sprouts because she was my reference, and they immediately knew who she was, all of that. So I ended up talking to Fran about my decision, and I told her that I wanted to resign. And she, obviously, like Maddie, Fran was so understanding and, you know, really just supportive of me and my decision. And, you know, she was, I don't know if she's really happy. I'm sure she was definitely happy for me that I was moving forward. And then she just told me, like, that I could come visit anytime, and that was really awesome. Another thing I forgot to mention was the fact that I think before, like a month before I left, we had a store meeting, and that's when I knew, like, I felt so out of place. And that store meeting was basically about how, you know, this associates had the opportunity to be promoted, but it had to take a month. And that really just made me, like, have so much anxiety, because I didn't feel like I wanted to be promoted. I just didn't see that happening for myself, and there was just a lot of pressure being put on me to try to learn all of the new material to be promoted. And that's just not what I felt. And I told her that I didn't feel like I could see myself moving up within the company, and she was understanding of that too. So needless to say, I ended up resigning around, like, the beginning of April. And I'm really, really grateful that I didn't get fired, because, you know, I felt like at one point, when I had all that stuff going on with missing work, I was really afraid that was going to happen to me, and I did not want to have that on my record. So I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to resign. And with that being said, you know, I learned a lot from my time at Maurice's. You know, one of the things I learned while I was there was, you know, you have to, I don't know, definitely customer service is a huge part of, you know, of any good sales job, especially when it comes to retail. Also, like, you know, I forgot to mention that we were stylists, like the same meeting that we had, that our position changed to stylist, and I didn't really feel like a stylist necessarily, but anyway. So what I learned from Maurice's was that you definitely need to be communicating with anyone who you work with, and you definitely it's definitely important to put in all of your effort and just really just show everyone that you can make it happen. You can make stuff happen and that you're good at your job. I know I'm just kind of like rambling a little bit, but I also learned that, you know, you have to take especially your job seriously. And if that isn't the case, then it's probably not the right fit. And I mean, for me, I don't think I would have ever realized it would have been like fashion retail wouldn't have been the best fit if I had at least tried. So I'm really grateful to Maurices for helping me kind of get out of my comfort zone and helping me open up to more people, because it really helped me become more outgoing, and it really just made me more confident. And so I'm really happy about that. To anyone who is considering working there, just be prepared to, you know, spend a lot of money on clothes. But besides that, you just got to have a really good work ethic. You should have some experience about fashion, and especially working in fashion retail. If you've worked at other stores, then maybe, you know, you'll understand it better, because for me, I didn't have really a lot of experience, and I think that's where I could have seen myself not being the best fit, because I didn't have very much experience. But I just needed the job to help me get through high school, because at the time I had started working at Maurices at the very end of my junior year, and then I worked there the majority of my senior year of high school, and then I left a month before I was supposed to graduate. So with that being said, do I recommend Maurices clothes? I would say they do have, their clothes are very high quality. I am wearing their jean jacket, which has been, you know, a staple piece of mine. And I just got this this tank from them, this Maurice's tank from Goodwill yesterday. So, you know, I think they have cute clothes, but I feel like for me, Maurice's, I feel like that's not really my taste of clothes anymore. I feel like I've evolved in my style so much since then. But for me, I would recommend shopping online first, because I feel like Maurices isn't the store that if you're looking to get one thing, that you can get one thing, because they'll try to get you a whole freaking outfit. So so just be mindful of that. But you know, they have obviously Maurices has great customer service, so I can't deny that. And I don't know. I mean, do I recommend it? Yes, if you're looking, you know, if it's your style, then totally. But if you have a different taste of style, then maybe not. Anyway, I'm going to try not to do this for too long. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope this gave you a better insight of my experience and, you know, how I've grown since my first job. I hope, if you have seen this video, obviously, like the video, of course, subscribe if you haven't already, and in the comment section, if you had similar experiences to me where you've worked in retail, just comment them down below. I'm sure I can relate to you. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching my video, and stay sassy.